How's it going? Today I'm going to be taking a look at several hip hop albums, and I'm going to be looking specifically at Notorious B.I.G. and several other albums and artists associated with Bad Boy Records. Don't need to go into much of an intro. This is pretty well-known stuff. Notorious B.I.G., one of the most famous rappers of all time, from Brooklyn, New York. Passed away in, I guess that would be 1998. And Bad Boy Records, the label he was signed to, the label of Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, whatever you want to call him. And it was never one of the labels that I followed particularly closely, but over the years I did accumulate some stuff, and definitely some worthwhile albums in here. So let's get started. 1994, Ready to Die. This is the debut album by the Notorious B.I.G. And this is the 2004 re-release, which is basically just a remaster with some new packaging and a bonus DVD that I can't say I've ever watched. I think it's just some music videos, because you got Juicy, Big Papa, Warning, One More Chance, and a live performance of Unbelievable. So this is a classic album. Hard to pick standout songs on here. They're all pretty good. But I'm going to go with One More Chance, Machine Gun Funk, Things Done Changed. Those are my favorites. And again, I was saying this is the 2004 reissue. The original release was in 1994. So that was only 10 years after he died. And I remember buying this like yesterday. I was probably like 21 at the time. But yeah, time definitely goes by quicker as you get older, right? So as much as this is maybe, it's hard to say what people consider to be his best album. I personally like Life After Death better. This one came out 1997. So I guess he passed away in 1997. And this is a double album. And I think this is his best release. Not that anyone cares about magazine rankings anymore, but I remember The Source gave this 5 mics, which didn't happen too often back in the day. And at the time, I don't know if I agreed with it, but this album has strengthened with time. I don't love every song, but I'm still going to give this a perfect score, a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. But there are a couple songs that definitely stand head and shoulders above the rest of them, and that to me is Notorious Thugs with Bone Thugs and Harmony, Miss You, Sky's the Limit, Long Kiss Goodnight, I Love the Dough. I can go on, but I Love the Dough and Notorious Thugs are probably my favorite songs on here. And I also got to reference Play a Hater, which is more of almost like it's a song, but closer to an interlude than a full song. But I always like that one a lot. So yeah, Life After Death. Another album that came out following Biggie's death was 1999's Born Again. I didn't really do a whole lot of research on this before I made this video, reminding myself, but I think these are unreleased Biggie verses. And those verses are made into new songs with new beats and the hot rappers of the time. You have, familiar faces to him like Puff Daddy and Lil' Kim. Then you have Snoop, Eminem, Busta Rhymes, Method Man and Redman, Mobb Deep, Ice Cube, Beanie Siegel, all over the place. My favorite songs are Hope You Sleep with Hot Boys and the Big Timers. Back in the late 90s, those are probably my favorite rappers. Guerrilla Warfare, 400 Degrees. those were my favorite hip hop albums at the time, and the Cash Money guys definitely had a good showing on this song. So Big E had a crew of rappers surrounded him with, and this is, sorry, yeah, they were called Junior Mafia, and this was their album Conspiracy. So this was not on Bad Boy, this is on Big Beat Atlantic, 1995. I guess Player's Anthem, that's the big song on here. Lil C's, this is The Wonderful World of C's a Leo. So Lil C's was probably the most well-known member of Junior Mafia, and this was his debut solo album, which came out in 1999. And this was an underrated album. I think a lot of people recognize this as being a quality release, but just didn't move the units it should have at the time. Got Busta Rhymes, G-Dep, Jay-Z, some R&B singers. I put this one on a while. Okay, so again, Bad Boy Records, P. Diddy's label. The only P. Diddy album I have is this one. P. Diddy and the Bad Boy Family, The Saga Continues, which I think is his, I want to say his third solo album. Is it a solo album? Yes, but it's definitely more of Bad Boy Records. I don't want to say compilation, but it's just all these guys together. Every song's got a whole bunch of guest appearances. The best song on here to me is one of the lead singles. You had Bad Boy for Life, which is okay, but Let's Get It with G-Dip and Black Rob. That song's sick, and surprisingly, the best verse on there is P. Diddy himself. He rips that one. But yeah, this is a pretty good album. Pretty R&B related, but gotta play that one again. A lot of stuff I haven't listened to in years. So another big one, this is Harlem World by Mace. This came out 1997. And at the time, I couldn't stand Mace. But as the years have gone on, I always heard that there were some bangers on here, so I eventually did pick it up when I saw it for a couple bucks back, probably back in 2002. And the first thing I always think about when I see this album is the Player Way. It surprisingly has 8-Ball and MJG on here, and they of course rip their verses, but that's one of my favorite hip-hop songs. I totally recommend you check that one out if you haven't so far. So this is the debut album by Shine, 2000 on Bad Boy. So, was that 2000? Yeah. So, there's a big bidding war for Shine, and he was known as the rapper that sounded a lot like Biggie. And I never really thought he sounded that much like Biggie. If you ask me, he sounds more than anything like The Game in the old days. But he also has a distinct way of pronouncing his words and stuff. I still always know it's Shine right away when I hear him. And this album had a lot of hype. I don't think it's so great. And I heard a lot of people say the rhymes weren't very good, but the beats were amazing. My favorite song on here is probably Get Out, which features Slim from 112. Bonnie and Shine with Barrington Levy, that was a single, but a good one. That's Gangsta. Bad Boys. What You Gonna Do. Yeah, this album is really underrated. I always like the packaging here. I like this CD print. And soon after this, Shine will get into a whole bunch of legal trouble, go to jail, and he's been out for a long time now, but his music career definitely peaked with his debut album. This is Life Story by Black Rob, 1999. I think this was Black Rob's only album on Bad Boy. There might be one other one, and if there is, I would want to check that out. What was the big single, and definitely a standout track on here. My favorite story on here, or I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one I always think of is the last song, I Dare You. So Black Rob was an interesting rapper, interesting style. This is a very quality release, but it's not very immediate, not very catchy. Even though Black Rob's a good rapper, I kind of forget what he says as soon as he says it. But I just find this kind of like an artsy album, and reminds me of the G-Dep album. I think it was Child of the Ghetto. I don't own that one, but the songs I heard, I definitely like that one. I'm going to keep an eye out for that one to get that cheap sometime. And finally, this is not on Bad Boy. This is on... sorry, I can't read that right now. Street Life Records. But Craig Mack was a rapper from Long Island, and he unfortunately passed away just a couple years ago. He had some health issues. And his first album was called... I think it was called Operation The Funk. And there's this song called Flavor in Your Ear, which was a big hit. And there's also a remix with Busta Rhymes, Rampage, Notorious B.I.G, and LL Cool J. And that's probably more well known. So that album was put out on Bad Boy and was a big hit. The next album, Operation Get Down, definitely not as good of an album, and definitely a commercial failure compared to the preceding one. And soon after that, Craig Mack kind of slowly disappeared. He might have put out a couple things, but nothing high profile, and definitely nothing in the recent past. So that's it. Thanks for watching.